Between 2007 and 2014, the Folio Society embarked on an ambitious project to publish a limited edition set of what many hold to be the finest editions of Shakespeare ever produced. This is the Letterpress Shakespeare. The 39 volumes are colour-coded, comedies in green, histories in blue, tragedies in red, and the standalone volume of sonnets and poems in turquoise. The first 12 volumes in the series were published with a limitation of 3,750 numbered copies. Around 2009 it became clear that these editions weren't selling as quickly as originally hoped, and later volumes were manufactured with a reduced limitation of 1,000 copies, except the sonnets and poems, which had a limitation of 1,980. Those who bought one of the first volumes in the series and received a limitation number greater than 1,000 were permitted to ask for a matching number for all subsequent volumes they bought. This means some copies will have a number higher than the limitation. My copy of Romeo and Juliet is an example. It is copy number 1,731 of 1,000. The limitation page of earlier volumes in the series states that an additional 20 or 25 lettered copies, not for sale, were produced. These were intended for display or promotional purposes, although some have inevitably made it into the secondary market. Each copy comes in 4 pieces: a Solander box, the letterpress volume itself, a companion volume, and a cardboard divider. The main attraction, of course, is the letterpress volume itself. Each is quarter-bound in Nigerian goatskin leather. The spine is blocked with the title in gold, and the boards are covered in hand-marbled paper. Early volumes in the series were marbled by world-renowned marbler Anne Moore. After Anne's death in 2008, the marbling for later editions was completed in fine style by Gemma Lewis. Of course, the volumes are Smith-sewn. End papers match the colour of the volume itself, and there's also a single matching ribbon marker. The text block of the volume is printed letterpress from hot metal on mould-made paper. The top edge is gilded, while the bottom and foredges are deckled. The main text is set in 16-point monotype Baskerville, while the display elements are typeset in Caslon. Despite the large text size, the volumes are big enough to allow a generous margin and comfortable page layout. Everything is printed in black except the title on the title page, whose colour matches that of the volume itself. The notion that letterpress printing means a deep impression made in the page appears to be mostly a modern invention. Traditional printers valued the kiss, as it was known, the practice of applying just enough pressure to make a clean impression without indenting the paper's surface. Only occasionally, therefore, does one encounter a page with a noticeable texture to the print. The text is that of the Oxford Shakespeare editions, meaning the series was produced by a range of scholarly editors under the general editorship of Stanley Wells. This also means that all editorial decisions are those to be found in the Oxford editions, and the spelling is modernised. The letterpress volume contains no notes or commentary whatsoever. The idea is to provide a clean reading experience, with readers turning to the companion volume for everything else. The companion volumes are octavo-sized. Each is Smith-sewn and bound in buckram coloured to match the rest of the set. The title is printed on a plain label affixed to the front of the volume and blocked on the spine. The content of these companion volumes is identical to the paperback Oxford Shakespeare editions. It's just been given a new binding and printed on paper to fit the volume. The Solander presentation boxes are covered in buckram and lined with paper to match the colour of the rest of the set. Each is identified by a leather label blocked in gold that is affixed to the spine. Inside, there is a cutout that neatly fits the commentary volume. The boxes measure 38 cm by 28 cm by 7 cm. The cardboard divider sits between the main volume and the companion volume. and is covered in the same paper that lines the Solander box. Although many volumes in the series have sold out, a few remain available direct from the Folio Society, where the usual price is £295. In recent years, occasional limited edition sales have seen the price reduced to £195. Of course, there is also an active secondary market. At any point in time, there are usually at least a few copies listed for sale on eBay. Other places to look include ABE Books, Ardis, and HC Books. Secondary market prices vary a lot. Editions such as King Lear, Othello, and Hamlet, which were produced with a high limitation and are therefore more common, show up frequently and often sell for around £150 to £200. With a bit of patience, they can be bought for even less. Rarer editions, of course, show up less often and command higher prices. Popular history plays like Henry V or Richard II, for example, might have a typical price of around £300 and only show up once per year in the secondary market. I should say that the Sonnets and Poems volume also commands a bit of a price premium. Around £250 to £300 seems to be the going rate. Occasionally, the books show up at other auctioneers or independent book dealers. Tracking them down can be tricky, but incredible bargains can be had. Complicating things a little further, there are also some unnumbered editions in circulation. These editions have a blank limitation page and are therefore not part of the limited edition. They come without Solander box or companion volume, but they are otherwise identical to the full limited edition copies. The origin of these unnumbered copies is a bit of a mystery, but it appears that they were excess unsold stock that have found their way into circulation. When these occasionally show up in the secondary market, they command a price of around £50 to £80. The companion volumes were also sold separately by the Folio Society for £24.95, or half that in a sale, and also occasionally show up in the secondary market. Secondary sales of these companion volumes seem to be less common and the prices less variable. Folio Society also sells a one-off edition of Twelfth Night with a binding illustrated by the Balbuso twins. All indications are that this edition is a rebinding of unused pages that were originally intended to be part of the Letterpress edition.